I should say my emotional healer spirits. And outside right now, because I live in Florida, we are having our regularly scheduled afternoon storm. I thought we've got lightning, we've got thunder, and we have literal downpours of rain. It's like, I looked out my front door and it was like a waterfall out there. So I figured, hey, best time to do this is during a thunderstorm. Now I want to say something. I've noticed when I was editing my other videos, you can hear thumping on the tripod and the camera. And obviously you've seen my camera light flicker because they're messing with it. I want to show you a little video of what happens with my light. I should say with my camera. So I'm going to show you this video right here. And you'll see on the video that the tripod, now my tripod doesn't sit on the floor even when it was on the other side. It was on a table, but like you can see right now where this tripod is in the past two videos. It's on this table, okay? And you can see it's completely covered by dolls. So if a cat had gotten up there to mess with that at any point, you would have heard a lot more than just a thump on the tripod or the camera. You would have heard dolls moving or falling. You would have heard other noises. So anytime you're hearing a thump, it is ghostly intervention. They are messing with the camera. Especially at this angle, there really shouldn't be a lot of focusing going on. When it's closer, there's a little bit more focusing, but because I'm this far back, there shouldn't be any auto-focusing issues going on. And if you notice that it starts auto-focusing like it did in my last one with Eleonora, then they're messing with the camera again. Or the camera is seeing something passing in front of it that we're not seeing through the camera. So, what's the matter with you? Here he gets fussy. You get so fussy. You better cut it out. Alright, so we are doing the very last video. And this doll, I think I saw at one point, and as you can see, I haven't even removed, when I bought her, I haven't even removed this. Well, I take it back. I did remove it to check that she was in one piece. There were no scratches or anything. I didn't touch these because they're still in boots. Velvet booties. She has a little velvet purse with a flower on it. A whole velvet dress. Velvet bow up here. Dressed as the turn of a century wealthy girl. She is... I believe it was like a Better Homes and Gardens. They were doing like a children's series, and they were from children from different eras, I believe. I'm not sure. Can you settle down, please? I'm trying to do something, and I only have a certain amount of time before our ghosties turn it off. So now, so now this doll. This is, and she does come with the stand. If you see the doll with the stand in the video, she comes with the stand. So this spirit is of Alessandra. Now, Alessandra came to me in that time when I was like, just about to fall asleep. She is a peasant, and I want to say she's a peasant. She's of Hispanic descent, and I know she's from either Mexico or South America. Now, I'm not very familiar with any of the countries of South America. They really didn't get into that in school. They taught you about Asia. They taught you about Europe. I mean, on a map, I can point to Germany or Luxembourg or Austria, or Myanmar, which used to be Siam. But if you ask me to point where Colombia is or Nicaragua, Dude, I don't know. They they didn't think it was important in school. They didn't think it was important enough to teach. And I'm not saying that's my thing. They just never taught us that. So I'm not really sure about where she's from. And I don't know if maybe she followed me home from St. Augustine or not. So we are going to, and she really didn't talk too much. She just showed me pictures of her life, so I'm not even sure if she knows how to speak English. So we're going to find all that out right now. So Alessandra. Okay. Where are you actually from? You are from Mexico. Okay. Now, did you spend your entire life in Mexico? Okay. Now, I was kind of unclear on this. Were you a peasant or were you a slave? No, she was not a slave. She was a peasant girl. And the reason I asked this is because she did like a lot of like hard menial labor, a lot of hard chores, and she was showing me that. So I wasn't exactly sure if she was like slave labor, which would have been in that time, like say your parents died and your aunt uncle took you in and you were more of a burden than you were loved. They would treat you like slave labor, as a servant instead of a family member, and they could treat you very badly. And it was like all across the board, especially in European nations and in early colonial America. They would absolutely do that to you. So you were just peasant. Okay. Can you now? Do you speak English? You do speak English. Okay. Did you teach yourself that? You did. Okay. Okay, so can you tell me, do you know what year you were born in? You do. I'm hearing the year 1435. Is that correct? 1435. Okay. And what year did you die in? 1485. Okay. Now, had you reached the age of 50? You had. Okay. So at the age of 50, you would have been a grandmother. You were a great-great-grandmother? Wait, oh, wow. I suppose even in this day and age, it's not unheard of, but it's a tough feat to make great-great-grandmother at 50. Yeah. Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about your life? Now obviously you were part of a tribe. Now were you kind of nomadic? Were you guys moved around? Okay. Were you part of like the Incas? They were further down, right? Hold on 1 minute. I told you to stop this right now. Stop it. You sit there and you be quiet, or I'm gonna put you in the other room. I don't want to hear it. I don't know. No, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Sit there. All right. She's telling me a name. Now, is this the name that you heard, like, archaeologists use? Okay, but that's not what you called yourselves. Okay. She said they called themselves the sun god's children. Did archaeologists the name that the archaeologists give you, is that what it translates to, sun god's children? No. She said it translates to serpents, serpent god's children, what they call them, because they misunderstood some of the, are they called petroglyphs or they'd be called petroglyphs, right? Pictures, petroglyphs, I think they're called. They misunderstood, they misread it, and they called them serpent god's children, but she said that her tribe was called the sun god's children. Okay. So the tribe that she came from was actually very integrated, very, I would say democratic. Women were not looked to as you're supposed to be barefoot and pregnant and cook for the men and, you know, keep the cave clean, stuff like that. Women were warriors along with the men. If there was ever a battle, the women would be there as well. And she said they all did the same type of chores. The men would skin and cook the meat that they caught. And so what she's saying is, like, if you killed an animal for food, you were responsible for preparing that food for your family. You had to, like, gut it, you had to skin it, you had to cook it, and then you served everybody in, like, your family. You literally had the platter of the meat and you served it to them, because they looked at any life that they took to, like, feed themselves and keep them alive as sacred. And it was like, this animal sacrificed its life for us, and they would treat that food as sacred. And so when you didn't just, like, do this and do that. It was very careful, and you thanked the animal for its life and for the food that you were going to get from this animal. The skin that you would use to keep yourself warm or make yourself a shelter. The bones to make instruments or weapons. Every part of that animal, you did not throw away any part of that animal. Every part of that animal was sacred, and you thanked that animal for its life. And that is why you didn't just haul it in and throw it at somebody. Because you took that animal's life, you had to do everything. Because you were supposed to revere this animal for the sacrifice that it made. And they weren't really like farmers, because they were kind of nomadic. They were what we would call hunter-gatherers. They ate the food. They would gather up, like, berries or things that were, like, growing wild. Like, if there was, like, wild corn or whatever, they would gather up wild corn and eat that. But they would basically eat whatever they came across. They actually lived, it wasn't an arid environment. They were like through forests, and I don't know how much it's changed. I've never been to Mexico. I don't know anything about Mexico really. But I don't think they were just in Mexico. I think they did travel like further south. She may have been like originally, but I think they just like went back and forth. And of course, with ancient boundaries, Mexico could have been much bigger than it is today. Again, I don't know the history of it. But I am seeing her in like lush, like forest type of jungle type of thing. Because I am seeing a lot of like green canopy and hunting animals in like a forest setting. They also didn't stray too far from water. Because obviously they were roaming. They needed to be close to some sort of water source because they didn't have like wells that they could draw upon. Because I do see fishing. I do see, and they fished with nets. They used nets to fish. She had something to do, and I'm not quite, because I don't really know about ancient cultures of South America. She had something to do with like with their worship of the sun god. And it wasn't just like, filling the crowd. She was part of it, and I don't understand exactly how. It's not like she was a sacrifice. She wasn't you guys did not do human sacrifices. You didn't worship like that, but it was, I don't know how they worshipped. I guess the thing that, like an assistant to a priest, is that like the closest that I could come to? Like almost like a temple priestess, but they didn't have a temple because they were nomadic. But where they, like every year they would go back, almost, like the pilgrimage to Stonehenge. Okay, let's go with that. That pilgrimage to Stonehenge, that like once a year the sun shines through it perfectly, and that's why they think it was like made for like the solstice or whatever. It's like that every year. They would come back to this place, and there's like a stone altar. They would come back to this place to worship the sun god. And she was like they had like a high priest, but it was like a healer. Like when he wasn't, worshiping to the sun god, he was like their tribe's healer, their tribe's, it wasn't the chief, it was like their doctor. And then it's almost like she's saying like their secret keeper too. Like he knew the history of their tribe, so he would he was like a storyteller. He was like the wise person, and all, all rolled into one. And when they went to the when they made that pilgrimage, and they were doing their ceremony to the sun god once a year, she was his like assistant in some capacity. I see her like next to him at the altar, but I'm not sure what they're doing, how they... I see beer. I see like their type of beer. There's like containers of this beer on the altar. And there's beads. I see them like their like hands are like up, and they're praying, and like he's making an incantation or whatever, and she's next to him, and there's like another girl next to him, and they're kind of like all around the altar. There's like three on one side because it's like a rectangle, and there's him and her and this other girl, and they're like facing towards the sun as it's rising. And then there's another girl here and like another girl at the end. And then there's 3 more on the other side, but they're all kneeling. They're like this. And their hands are resting like on the top of the stone, and their head is like resting like this, and that's the only thing that's touching the stone. But they don't do human sacrifices. They did put blood on the altar. I see like the 3, they stand up and they like shed their blood on the altar, but they don't die. They're not sacrifices. They willingly give their blood on the altar, but they're not killed. They're not sacrificed. I don't know what this is. I don't know what they're doing, because I don't understand their language. It's a language that's been dead for I don't know how long, because that tribe no longer exists. No. That's what she's showing me. That's all I can see. So I don't know what this ceremony is. She's showing me, but I don't understand what they're... She said that the ceremony was to thank the sun god for the life that he gives them. That's what she said the ceremony was about. To thank the sun god for the life that he gives them. So you are of some importance in your village, your tribe. But see, when they weren't doing that one ceremony, she was just like a regular person, just like everybody else in that tribe. No one was really more important than the other ones, except for the chief and the priest. But everybody else, everybody got to speak their mind. Everybody was treated fairly. No one was richer than anyone else. No one had more than anyone else. Yeah. She's... I mean, everybody was respected the same. But the words of the chief and the priest, they were basically law, but they did not abuse their positions. They were very fair people, and they loved their people, and they loved their tribe. So they would, while their word was law, everybody had a voice, and they would listen to. She said all voices would be heard. That's what she said. All voices would be heard. Now, I'm guessing Alessandra obviously is not your given name, the name you were given. No. It's the name that you chose for yourself after roaming. She says she loves the beauty of the name. Okay. So, why do you want to be an emotional healer? Okay. She said basically because of like her work that she did with the priest and the the whole like thing of this, that's why this is so important, because of her work with the ceremony of the sun god and everything. She understood ruling energies in the universe. She understood how to, and again, because she helped the priest was a healer, she helped in that capacity. She learned, well, they understood about like herbs and healing. She already had the natural ability to control energy. she understood, and it was kind of like a thing where she would just like basically lay her hands on somebody, and automatically she knew what the problem was and how to fix it. It was like her soul just took control, and it was just like, and it did what it had to do. So she was like a Reiki healer, but she didn't, like, her conscience didn't understand fully what was going on, but her subconscious just knew exactly what to do, and it did it. And then when she died, when she saw everything on the other side, then everything fell into place, and she understood what she had been and what she was. And she says, I understand now, I'm always meant to be a healer. I was always meant to do these things. And she said, this was always my destiny, and I've been doing it ever since. She says she's like traveled for obviously centuries ever since she died, and any person she sees that needs her help, she helps to heal them, and she moves on, and she helps to heal them, and she moves on. But now I did not meet you in St. Augustine. You heard about me. That's what I thought. Once she started telling me this, I knew I didn't pick her up in St. Augustine. She had heard about me, and I've been hearing this from my spirits, that I'm getting a sort of notoriety, and word is passing around about me. And these spirits are coming and seeking me out because she's kind of like tired of floating around and not having like stability, like family, like being part of a tribe. She actually really misses being part of a tribe and that community. And she came to seek me out, and she saw, like, you know, the community that I have here with my spirits, and she sees that I'm like bonding spirits with dolls, and I'm shipping them off, and like a lot of people that, you know, purchase from me, they already have spirits. They're making their own like spirit community, and she sees that she can be part of a tribe again, part of a family. And she's like, you know what? I want to do that. I don't want to be alone anymore. I want to be part of a family, of a tribe. And she said that she would continue to be who she is, which is a healer. And she has, because she's been gone so long, and because she understands it so well, she's able to heal all across the board, the physical healing and the emotional healing. So when she heard I was doing the healing thing, she jumped on board, and she was like, yeah, I want to go. I want to find a family. I want to help people. But she's like, I want to continue to help people. She's always helped people, but she wants to be part of a family. That's what she said. So that's why she's here. So is there anything else that I missed? Is there anything else that you want me to say, to mention? Is there anything you specifically have to say? No, I covered everything for you? Okay. All right, so that is it for Alessandra. And if you are interested in her, she will be up on the Witchery. And so you can go ahead and purchase her there. If you're interested in her, again, like I said in my other videos, if you're interested in her but don't have the whole payment right now, I can always invoice you through PayPal for a partial payment that will reserve her, and then I can hold her until you make the entire payment. So that is going to be it for us. I don't know if we've caught a lot of activity, maybe more activity than normal because the thunderstorm is going on. I guess I'll see it when I edit and review. So I will see you guys in the very next video. I'm not sure who's going to be coming up next, who we're going to do next, who's at the front of the line, but there will be more spirits coming this week. And also later this week, I'm going to be talking about stuff that's going to be coming up in the future. I'm going to be talking about Christmas ornaments for spirits. It's something I had been working on last year, but by the time I kind of like started working on it, it would have been like too late for Christmas. So I'm going to be talking about those. I'm going to be talking about the altar sets that I'm going to be making, and I will be talking about what my decision on the altar boxes are going to be for the next coming months. And I don't know if there's something else I probably forgot, which I probably did. We'll talk about that in a video later on this week. So I will see you guys